Welcome in everybody to another episode of Scurry in the Scrub. It is me, Scurry of Scurry in the Scrub, here with a special guest today. We got Mitch Ballock, everyone. Mitch, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Just ready to get hop on the call and get to it.
Yeah, man. We've been wanting you on here for a little bit. Like we've been chopping up the season, but we ain't been able to talk to the captain.
Hey, but before we do that, hold up. I didn't see that in the back. If we're talking about goats, is that my man Brady and Randy on the back?
Of course. You know I got to rep the New England sports. I'm out
Good
here, you know.
stuff.
Yeah, man.
We respect the goats on this podcast. We got Jordan in the background, Brady in the background. We got
that's
Mitch,
fair.
We got Mitch on the podcast. We respect the goats around.
No. See, two out of three.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3.
No, man.
If you shoot 66.67 from 3, you good.
We were giving him a hard time off air though, but like I'm so glad Mitch showed up like this though, because this is like if you were to put together like name, image, and likeness is coming up. So we were to put together like a Mitch Ballock like name, image, and likeness. It'd be like fully bearded up, hasn't touched a razor in months.
Absolutely. No, I don't know if
a tank top cut off, covered in sweat, right out of the gym. Like this is
easily.
This is like Mitch, like personified right here. He's got the image right now.
Like you would be able to tell, like if you saw like Denzel, like his silhouette with the goggles, like you'd be able to tell that. Like if Mitch had like a player silhouette, it would be like cut off gray tee with the Creighton shorts and then some blue Nikes, maybe some white. You might have the white generic if it was just your name, image, and likeness. It might be that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You don't have to spice it up much, man. Simple wins.
Simple wins.
Hey, and with the beard, it's savage season when it starts to connect to the chest hair,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, same, bro.
You just gotta let it roll.
That always happens to me. I hate that. I gotta shave like right here. It's always
it is what it is.
It's always a problem.
Yeah,
but man, anyway, man, how you doing? How's school?
School's good. 2.5 weeks left. I finish a couple classes next week, and then I'm done, man.
That's good, man.
Getting ready. I'm looking forward to that feeling.
Yeah, how's it been? Mainly online and all that?
Actually, my class has been all in person. Obviously, that month we were in the bubble, I wasn't in person, but it was difficult on the road, obviously, because we had practice times that were scheduled by the NCAA, and they were in the middle of the day during classes. So I missed a lot of classes in the bubble, which is crazy because we're not doing anything all day. And then when we finally do something, it's a lift or a gym time, and you miss all your classes. So that's just go figure. But at the end of the day, that's how it is. But it's been good. It's fun. Just kind of ready to get out.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like what's that commercial? Like these athletes will go pro in something other than sports. Like what are you going pro in other than shooting threes and all over the world?
Shooting threes. I'm going pro in life, man. I'm just going pro in life. I got nothing else. Just do the basketball thing, see if it works, and then hopefully I can start my own deal with some different businesses and stuff. So I'm in the business school. I'm getting a business degree, generic, just to kind of set me up for something for life beyond basketball. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I like it.
Cool, man.
You won't be intimidated in those meetings when they're like talking all that business lingo. You're like, I know what you guys are saying.
Yeah. I have a degree that says I know how to talk about this kind of stuff. Right? One of those.
I mean, I was a part of groups or teams.
Yeah, like I did class projects. It's like the same thing, right?
Class projects. It's the same.
Yeah.
I won't do any of the book work, but you guys got that.
Yeah, I'm here for moral support. I know how to be a leader. Like communication. They taught us that on the court. I can apply that here.
We can come up with like a title for you. It would be like just like a mood adjuster type of deal. Like if morale is low, Mitch just comes in, clap it up real quick. All right, guys, next possession, next play. Let's go.
One of these.
I feel like I might have done that for like 4 years.
Right. I feel like we have some expertise.
I feel like that's what I was. Yeah. I feel like that's what I did for like.
Yeah.
I would, run up to you. Is that not what I did? And like.
With none of that, there's no us. You feel me?
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's a domino effect.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Hey, we missed that this year though. Obviously, with no fans and everything early, we needed that energy from the sideline. It took us a couple games to get going.
Yeah, man. I kind of wanted.
Greatly missed, my brother.
Man, I kind of wanted to get into that because I was even talking to Matt off air just a little bit about like, for me, my final season was like, you saw all of it, the ins and outs, like what it was and even how it ended. But for me, for this to be my first year, just talking about Creighton sports and watching games from an outsider's perspective, like I can't imagine how much differently, like I had all my conversations with all you guys like throughout the season, but still I am looking back on it, and I know you guys are too. Like, I could not imagine having gone through that, man, because you know me, like I would have risked it all like one night trying to sneak out and get a milkshake night before a game, like, and then what? I can't come in the locker room, or like I just
no doubt.
How was it? How was it that adjustment?
The adjustment was different. I mean, obviously looking back, I'd say we did a really good job because we didn't have any pauses. I think we honestly did too good of a job, because if you see the teams in the tournament, I mean, they all had that 2-week break where, I mean, looked fresh, playing. And I mean, like Baylor was a testament to it. Like, they looked like some dogs, energized, rolling. Like, they had that 2-week break. Obviously, they were slow getting back. They dropped those couple games out of the quarantine deal, but I think it served them well, honestly. So if we could run it back, I'd say somebody or a false positive or something. We take 2 weeks. And
I knew I could have had value. That's where I would have had value for this year's team. I would have been the sacrificial lamb.
Yes,
bro. I would have been and when I would have heard everybody was tired in Dragon, I would have just been like, Coach, I'm gonna go out tonight, and then just act like you didn't know in the morning.
Yep, you'll hold us down.
You know what I mean? Like, I could have I could have definitely helped. I knew it.
It's all good. But the adjustment,
right about Baylor, though, like the Baylor thing is crazy too, because they dropped those games in February, and then all of a sudden people were like kind of taking them out of the Gonzaga tier, like, oh, I don't know, maybe Michigan's better than them, and then it's like, then that tourney starts, and this is what I love about the NCAA tournament. All the narratives get rewritten because they just washed everybody. I mean, even Gonzaga had no business being on the same floor with them. Like,
hey, Nova was right there for 34 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, but how do you feel about their pause and their losses in February now? They won it all. Like, who cares? Who's talking about that?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'd say if the season was run back and we did it all again, I think they wouldn't do it any different way, which is fair. And we wouldn't either. Like, I mean, you got to be safe and healthy and do all this, but I don't know. I think there's benefit in both sides of it, but the adjustment was just, I mean, it was weird at the beginning of the year, especially because like early, no one had fans, and then we go to Kansas, and there wasn't 2,500 people. There was like 6,000 in there, and the atmosphere was big time.
Yeah, it felt big time on TV. It was like, damn, this place is loud.
Yeah, and then it went from that to nobody, and then we started letting 2,000 people in our place, and then we go to the East Coast and play in Providence's practice gym and or whatever it was, and it was just like. It was just like you're always playing in different places with no people or some people, and it was weird, but you had to kind of get used to it.
How was that for you as a shooter? I wanted to ask you that because I know like you're used to shooting in empty gyms. You've done that more times than anything else, right? So was that easy to adjust to, or did it take some time?
I don't know. I think it's all the same. The ones that I didn't like was when they had it piped in, the sounds piped in. Like we went to, which is ironic. We went to Seton Hall and I hated that, but then I shot well. So then it was like, well, whatever, I'll take it, But with that being said, I don't know. It was probably the same, but there's less heat checks. You know what I mean? Like you don't get caught up in the emotion of the
adrenaline. No adrenaline. Not the same.
I mean, like if we talk about DePaul junior year, like I shot like a 45-footer for no reason just because we were teed up. So I was like, I just gotta get one up. This year, I just got
that block shot. So you were like, I'm as soon as I touch this thing, it's going up. Like,
it's going up. And we were it was Lob City, and the crowd was going crazy, and but like so that energy and those shots, the 40-footers might turn into 30-footers after a couple passes. So I don't know. That's probably the biggest thing, just because
you shot a career high of like 40-footers this year, so you're good. You're good.
I appreciate it. Keep doing it.
Yeah, for real. I actually went through Synergy and had to look up. I was like, how ridiculous is Mitch actually? Yeah, it's actually pretty ridiculous. Yeah.
He had asked me.
It's you and Caitlin Clark are the only people who shoot from there. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, Iowa. The Iowa.
Yep.
Yeah, she'll pull from every logo she finds, in
she's tough.
Yeah. So you and her are the only ones who are doing that little slow drill between the legs, rock them to sleep, pull up from 40 in their face. That's only two people. That's it. Hilarious.
Hey, if I'm in the same conversation as her, I'm in a good conversation.
Not bad, right? Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, I just remember the stat that you asked me about. You were like, how many plus 35 foot threes you think Mitch has shot this year? And I think I undershot the amount of threes you even took by that far by like 5 times. Like I don't remember what it was, but I was like,
What
oh
was the
no,
number?
he's taking like 30, and he was like, yeah, no, it's more like 100 or so. And I was like, oh, okay, let it fly
In the
there.
4 years or what?
It wasn't like I think it was.
It's not 100.
No, it's not 100. That'd be obscene.
That would be ridiculous.
You'd be getting like leading Sports Center with Steph every night if you were shooting.
All right,
I did try to compare you. I did try to compare you to Steph and Dame to see if anything like made sense, but they shoot so many ridiculous shots. It's like,
oh yeah,
it was like Steph was like at 150, Dame was at like 130, 135, and then Mitch, you were like at 25. So it's like there's still a difference there.
Oh yeah,
those guys are different. So
those guys. I mean, in a league of their own.
Yeah, but
which is special to watch. I mean, this stuff Steph's been doing in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks has been nuts.
Absurd, man.
Dude, should he be the MVP? Like I know it's crazy because they're not a great team, but like he's putting up some stupid numbers.
If it's me personally, I got to throw him in the top 3, but I don't think I give it to him. I mean, his numbers are by far and above and beyond what he did in his unanimous year.
Yeah.
Like in his performance. But at the end of the day, like you do have to win. And I understand like his team's not like what it was with Clay and KD and those guys, or even before KD. Like they had solid teams. And Clay adds everything to that team and opens up, everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what he's doing is unbelievable, but I don't think you can give him the MVP. Honestly, I think you got to go with. I mean, Jokic is doing his thing, and Embiid's doing his thing. So I don't know, Jordan. What were you gonna say?
This is my thing with this, and I have to. I don't want to go on a long tangent here, but I always think there should be 2 different awards for what we're saying is MVP. Like there needs to be like, and I go back to it was when James Harden was really started killing at first in Houston. That I always said, like, there needs to be, like, most valuable player, like, value. Like, that's, like, your Giannis's, your LeBrons, that your dudes that it was, like, this team would not be winning if it wasn't for this dude. But then there should also be, like, most impressive season award, too, where it's, like, this dude did something maybe on a losing team, like what Julius Randle's doing, what Steph's doing. Like, that should be a whole different award. What James Harden was doing back in Houston when they weren't winning like that, like, that should be a whole different thing. Where it's like most impressive throughout the season versus the most like what are we talking about value? Are we talking about impressive? Or are we talking about best performances? Or are we talking about value? So like that's where I think there should be 2 different. I know there's not, but I just think they're 2 different things. That's where like the Steph thing comes into play.
I think Russ kind of changed this conversation because he averaged a triple-double for a OKC team that was like a 7 seed or something like that. They weren't a contender, but he won the MVP. And I'm like, all right, so MVP, I agree with your definition of what value is in terms of how it correlates to success with the team. But at the same time, if you're giving the MVP to the top players on the best teams, like, yeah, they elevate their teams into like contender status, but Steph is also elevating Golden State. That team is trash.
100%.
Trash without him. They're like a single-digit win team maybe without him.
100%.
So the fact that he even has them in playoff contention is elevation in itself and adding value. And then I think when you look at his numbers, I'm just like, I just don't even. He's the hardest person. He's the hardest player in the NBA to defend.
Oh, no question.
Just like, period. So at the end of the day, if the numbers translate, if they're efficient, if the team is elevated because of it, and he also is clearly the hardest player to defend on a nightly basis, I don't even feel like there's much of a conversation to have about it. And I understand like Jokic and Embiid deserve praise, but like Steph belongs in that conversation at the very least. I feel like he's been getting dismissed because Golden State isn't a title contender. And I'm like, I don't know.
I agree with that.
Like,
no question.
But that's also just because recency. Like that's everyone thinking like, oh, they were this championship team when it's a completely different team. But you can't expect casual fans to like understand that, oh, he's leading a whole different team into the playoffs right now. The way it looked, like the optics of it is that it looks like just him healthy isn't enough. Like,
yeah, like his history hurting him, right? Yeah,
that's not his history is hurting him. That's right. I'll make that argument, but I mean, you have to like actually look at it from this lens to really understand it.
Well, all I know is that I'm enjoying the show right now. Like, what was that tweet I sent you the other night? I was like, we're sending out the bat signal every time Steph starts cooking. Like, everybody's like, hey.
Like, how do you guard that? Mitch, what would you do? How would you guard? Would you let him shoot, or would you like just try to let him go to the basket? Because I've been having this debate all.
I honestly don't know.
Games.
I've thought about this. Like, when you look at scouting reports for guys, like there's 25 or 30 guys in the league there's no scouting report for. Like, you can't do anything. Like, I don't know I honestly, like, one game, if he's just on a heater, like, don't guard him. I don't know. Because then, like, he'd be like, what? It's like
the only thing you could throw at him he doesn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it was one time, like, don't close out at him or something, and like, you know what I mean?
Maybe,
like, I don't know.
That'll mess with his head. Yeah, maybe that'll mess with his head.
And what I've seen with guys like Steph is elusive and like can do, if you press up enemy, he's going by you and he's crafty enough with both hands and has every finishing move at the rim. But at the same time, I think that's how you do it. You just got to be ultra physical with him. Mm-hmm. And on the defensive end, you have to wear him out as much as you can. Like, when the other team's on offense, you have to just you got to go at him, post him, like, just try and beat him up. Honestly, take his legs out from under him, because if he doesn't have legs, then I mean, he's still going to hit shots. That's the crazy thing. But he might not hit him at a 40.
Against Boston, when he caught the inbounds pass and sprained his ankle, I was like, oh no, like, he's down. I was like, he won't come out hitting. And then of course he does the athlete thing we all do, where when you like tweak an ankle or you think you're hurt for a second, you like are like, yeah, I'm gonna take the worst shot possible and see if it works out right now. And he like puts like a tween behind the back, step back, pull up, and I'm like, yeah, no, he's fine. He's got a good ankle.
It was like a 32-footer on the left wing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, he's good. I guess those braces work, so that's good.
Yeah.
Like,
was that? Hey, that game was top 3 games of the year.
That was top 3 games of the year, easy.
Dude, that was high level. Jason
high level.
What was that like up and under, like, shot fake, like throw up at the, like, he
with the left
hand, the left hand.
Cash. It was like all net. It's like, come on, man, that's like.
But that comes from the fact that he's just in the gym working on both hands. So, and his just dexterity is so next level. Yeah. Like, his just hand-eye is just, you can see it. It's something to watch, man.
Yeah, me and my buddy Ravi said they need to like scrap the dunk contest and have like a
trick shot,
a 3-point shootout from like weird spots in the arena. I was like, just imagine if like Dame and Steph are like pulling up from like the concourse. You know what I mean? They're just like out there, like they practically did it in the All-Star game this year. Didn't both of them? They both like went back to back from half court.
Yeah.
There's like pull up cash. Like, let them do that. That'd be more exciting than everybody's seen like kind of every dunk at this point. I feel like we're not giving it credit because we've seen it all already. Like, spice it up a little bit. Let them do a 3-point shootout from just like, all right, you go back tunnel, off angle behind the backboard. You go in the concourse, like, just have them go crazy. Like, they shoot those anyway. Steph did hit one. He hit one from the concourse like early in the season, like before a game. He was like out standing up in like section 100. He just like cashed it. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. Let him do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, and the cool thing about Steph is, like, what we're watching, like, there have been few guys to come through the league. I'd probably say 3 or 4 guys that have in the whole NBA that, like, you'll get a text from somebody or you'll send a text to somebody and be like, yo, you got to turn the TV on. Like, I'll text my dad, my brother. I'll be like, yo, turn the Warriors game on. This is stupid. Mm-hmm. Like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, guys will come out and have 40, but it's just not the flavor that Steph does it with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the flavor is unbelievable. It's like this is just ridiculous. Yeah. And in a way, I mean, we were at the park playing disc golf the other day, and there's just kids sitting out there shooting half quarters. And I'm like, see, that's the Steph effect. But like, I just don't, it's incredible. I've never seen a guy that you just be like, hey, like, drop what you're doing, you know, like, turn this on. Like, it's beneficial. I even get my girl to watch it.
It's true. It's the way he plays. He makes it
crazy.
He makes it look so effortless. Like,
crazy.
And like, I know people have said that, and I'm not trying to sound cliche, but like, he really, like, it doesn't look like he's trying hard, and everything that he's doing is a ridiculous degree of difficulty.
It's just ridiculous. Like, he doesn't make many shots where it's just like a 1-2 pull up. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes he does. He'll make a 17-footer like off a 1-2 pull up, but dude, it's nuts.
There have been 3 players in my lifetime and this is why I get like, this is where I make LeBron fans mad when I say this kind of stuff, but it's true. There are 3 players in my lifetime who have had such an impact on the game. They changed the way the future players play it. And it was Michael Jordan. And I don't want to disrespect Kobe, but like Kobe did all the stuff that MJ did.
Follow Mike.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was Michael Jordan. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. Those Gatorade commercials were like transcendent. Allen Iverson, because he got like the and one, like he made those and one Reeboks crazy. All the crossover dribble moves, all that type of stuff, and like getting into your shot. Like honestly, Steph picked up a lot of stuff from AI. He just made it from like 40 feet, essentially. Like all that crossover stuff and into your shot. That's all AI. So it was like my MJ, Iverson, and Steph. They all changed the way people like play the game. Like Mitch said, when you're just at the park and you're watching people try stuff, like if you go through the generations of the way people play the game, Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, Steph Curry are the 3 dudes who changed the way people play basketball. I'm like, that's
I'll jump on board with that.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely back that, because it's just like Mitch said, it's that swag. Like it's the way that Steph does it that makes it must watch TV. It's the way that AI had the crossover and the arm sleeve and the bands on. Like it was like, oh, you got to watch that. And it was the way Mike was doing moves that nobody ever saw before. Like,
right.
Literally inventing moves on the fly. Like people were like, wait, you can do that?
when he went up and under, like in the finals in 91 against the Lakers, that thing, like that changed the world. Like everybody was like, what the hell just happened? Marv Albert almost like blew his head off. Like it was like, poof. It was like a spectacular move. You know, that call? Like that thing was in highlight reels of every finals game, every final series, my whole life, that move. And it's like, that's the type of stuff we're talking about. Like I don't diss LeBron by saying it, but not everybody can do what LeBron can do. You know what I mean? He's just he's physically built different than anybody ever. So it's hard to replicate what he does on the floor. But Steph, AI, MJ are all dudes that like they influenced how everybody from like street ball to college to high school to pro, how everybody plays the game. Like you practice the moves you watch them do on TV. Like that's the thing. So I'm all about Steph being in the MVP conversation because he's one of those dudes who like he changed basketball for sure.
No question.
Yeah, man.
Like even Mitch didn't shoot any 30-footers like his first 2 years. Then all of a sudden it's normalized now, and now he can do it. Like he's just.
That's like, why not?
Yeah. Like, hey man, it's not.
I had that, Matt. I was getting that my senior year of high school, and then I just, you got to get the confidence in that.
It was just because you had all the Under Armour on your senior year of high school. That's all it was.
I was trying to be like Steph. I had my Stephs on.
Have you told the Steph story ever before, or does everybody else just tell it?
What's the Steph story?
Well, didn't you were at his camp and you beat him in a 3-point shootout? Is that true, or is that like?
It wasn't. I didn't beat him. I mean,
that's what I mean. I keep hearing this story, and I want to hear like.
It wasn't head to head.
Clear the air. Go ahead. This is your chance.
Yeah.
Steph came out and demonstrated the drill. It was a 2-minute drill. You have to make 2 in a row in each spot, and then you move, and you don't make. So you do 2 in a row. So it's 20 shots or 10 sets of 2.
Mm-hmm.
There and back, and you have 2 minutes to do it, and then whatever your time left on the clock is, that's your time. And I don't even remember timing or what, but I think Steph finished with like 39 seconds left. And mind you, he's shooting from the NBA line. This was the year before his first, so this would have been 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then after the drill, whatever, I went through and. There was 2 of us that finished at the same time. It was like, I don't even remember the timing, but I think it was Derek Thornton and me. And then we did a little shoot off, and I finished with like 43 seconds on the clock. So then my time was the best time in camp and beat Steph's time or whatever it was.
Okay.
So it wasn't head to head. It was just his time at the NBA line and my time at the high school line was faster than what he did, and he was just demonstrating it. I think if we ran it back, I don't know, he might get me, he might edge me out, but it'd be a good one. It'd be fun.
Have you started practicing? You put the tape down in the championship center, the NBA.
There's tape on one side, but I just kind of just shoot from wherever.
I was gonna say you pretty much shoot NBA threes
normal.
anyway. So like
normal.
Yeah. So I'm doing that right now. I'm just trying to get used to the ball. The ball is different, but it's cool.
Mhm.
That's the story. That's the story. It wasn't head to head. It was just kind of.
I knew there was something to it, but like once it goes out there, it just never really.
Oh yeah, then it's just Mitch beat him in a contest, and it's like it's kind of a contest, but kind of not.
That's the headline now.
I've always said though, and like this is where Mitch isn't going to respond, but like I've always thought like if I took if you gave me the best 3-point shooters in Creighton history, because I mean that'd be a pretty sick 3-point shootout if you did like Corver, Doug, Ethan, like Booker, Woodfox, like give me all those dudes in the gym. Mitch like feels like best suited to win a 3-point shootout based on like the structure of a 3-point shootout where it's like rack, spot, you know what I mean? Like
yep.
So
and
like,
just his routine, his shooting routine.
It is a shooting routine. That's what I tell
similar
people.
to a three-point contest.
His routine is a 3-point shootout, basically. Like I remember like those summers back when we used to be allowed in the gym.
Remember that?
Wow. Coming back.
Way back.
Are you coming back next year? What's up? What's the
back
move?
in the day?
Well, Jordan and I are both fully vaxxed. I have 2 more weeks before immunization date, so hopefully soon.
Heck yeah. All right.
Hopefully.
But anyway, what were we gonna say? Back when you were back in the gym.
Well, like so, you guys would do the exact drill you just said at Creighton, like the different spots, 2 shots, 2 minutes or whatever, and then. But you would like there was something else to it. Like you guys would once you were done with every spot.
The one we did at Creighton, you 2 in a row from 5 spots, and then you shoot at the top.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The rest of the time. Yep.
Yeah. So at the top of the key, when Mitch was on a heater, this would get stupid. It would like he would go to the top of the key after he was finished with every spot, and just so whatever time you had left on the clock, you can shoot as many as you want, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Mitch, like I swear, like he would have times where you'd hit like 30 in a row.
Yeah.
It would just be an I mean, this is everybody in the gym would stop what they're doing except for the guys who are like shooting. Even the dudes who are like rebounding are like over there looking at Mitch, like kind of like catching the ball, like trying to like catch.
Yeah, some of those times I get on a heater and then it's
crazy. The whole gym just like gets caught up. I remember one time he hit like 34 out of like 37 or 35. And
yeah.
And like if you watch, like I have the video going, and if you watch, I just have it on Mitch, so I'm focused on Mitch. But if you watch, like as he gets into the 20s of 20 in a rows, like more people start coming into the free. Coaches and like bystanders and like they're all just like mesmerized because Mitch won't miss. Like it's insane.
In case anybody was wondering how many I made during this drill, it was about like 13. So just for reference, just for reference for the listener. So in case you want to like a normal shooter and a good shooter, you want to know the difference in the drill. It's about 20. Well,
I think like one summer, Jordan, you had the record for a week, and then Mitch got on a heater and blew it away.
I did.
Right? Yeah,
I did.
So like,
that was because that was the summer going into my senior year. I wanted to have all the records, so I did everything first, so I could at least have it for some people. I did it in the weight room too. So I had a lot of records first for a while. And a while was like 2 days, but there's definitely.
He's like, it was. Did you see Mitch hit 30 in a row? I was like, yeah, it was cool. It was whatever.
It's crazy. It's crazy to see that stuff on social media where like you see a day where Steph hit like 93 or like whatever it was. I was like, dude, that is a different type of heater. Like I've hit some 55s, some 60s, but I've never been in the 90s.
Yeah, but see, this is my theory though. You're gonna get there because when you're a pro and you do it every day, like Steph's been doing this every day for how long now? Literally, no, seriously though, like every day, like all those drills, like that you see on social media and stuff of Steph doing the in between, like in the crossovers with the bands, like before games. How many years has he been doing that for now?
Right,
it's a lot.
Like, look at his body now compared to what it was at Davidson.
Yeah,
not even.
Yeah, so it's like that. His just and I think that just speaks volumes to his like attention to detail and like
no question
dedication to being able to like do that for such a long period of time.
And people talk about muscle memory, like it's just that muscle memory just keeps getting more fine toned. Fine tuned.
You know, especially with something like shooting.
Dude, it's the same. You know,
once you learn how to mentally even break barriers, you're just a whole different player.
For sure.
Shooter.
Hey, like what? Because I kind of want to get into a little bit of what your professional basketball aspirations are. like, was it tough to decide to not use that extra year? Like, how much time did it take you to come to the conclusion that you're like, yeah, I feel like I've done what I need to do here, and I need to take that next step and make that move? Like, because you've never really been a guy who, throughout the years, even on these podcasts or whenever we're like writing a story on you, you've never really wanted to talk about pro basketball, like that side of it. So we just never really bothered you about it because you felt like you always said, like, when that time comes, it'll come. Like, what was it? What was this process like for you as the season ended and you started to have to think about possibly coming back for an extra senior year that might be under normal circumstances with fans and whatnot, versus just saying, like, I think the job is done here, essentially? Like, how did that process go for you?
Right. I don't know. I think the time came, you just kind of feel it. It's like with all those guys when they retire from the league, they just kind of feel it when they're ready to go. They're good, but obviously mine's not retiring. Mine's just starting something new.
Right.
And I think just all the stuff surrounded around, I mean, there's excess stuff around all basketball seasons. I think this year obviously was a lot more mentally taxing than people could think about. And it was all around the world for everybody, not just in the basketball world. It was all aspects of life, which is crazy that we just get to play a game during this stuff, which I don't know. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. But I mean, I'm 22 years old. I'll be 23. It's just time for me to take the next step and kind of turn it into a professional career and see if I can make something for myself. So that was kind of my thought process. At the end of the season, I took 5 days and just kind of went home and decompressed with my family and everything. And obviously, given the circumstances of the last month, the season was it was fun, but it was a lot at the same time. But I think I was just ready. I just woke up ready to do it and move on and start a new journey in my life, I guess. So that's really all I have for you. I don't really know what it is, but you just kind of feel it.
Mm-hmm. Was the last month, did you, like, I know you did say, when you guys were in Indy that it meant more to you, that it meant more to everybody else to do that. But, like, I also know that when you got to Creighton, you wanted to go to the NCAA tournament 4 years out of 4. I know that was one of your goals. And essentially you got 3 out of 4 because you would have been last year. And you wanted to be the first team to go to the Sweet 16. You did that. You also happened to be the first team to win a Big East title, regular season title. So I don't know if that was part of it, but there was a lot of, like, firsts that you got to do that I think when you look back on will probably be, something you're proud of. But, like, when you're in the moment right now, you mentioned, like, the last month was tough for a variety of reasons. Like, did you find yourself struggling to find out, like, how to enjoy what that college basketball experience would have been like as, like, you go to a Sweet 16 and it's your senior year and you've never done it before? Like, you're supposed to be able to feel a different way about that. Was that ever there, or were the circumstances kind of too overwhelming that the basketball was almost just kind of offset it more than anything else?
No, the feeling was definitely there. The feeling was there, like, in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, we had a good fan support the first game and the second game in Hinkle, and it was good. They were loud and energetic, and you could feel, like, the energy and enthusiasm and, like appreciation from them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're playing and you feel that in the moment, it's like, yeah, like, we're doing this. But then you just go back to your hotel and sit there. You just go shower and you're by yourself. So that was, like, the hardest part, because, like, I'm a like outgoing person. I like hanging out with people. I don't do well with being in isolation, which is fair. I mean, it's fine. But the biggest just, like, struggle with me is I have a routine, like you guys talk about. Yeah. And the bubble, there's no routine. Like, they tell you to go here when you have the time slot, and that's when you go. And it's nothing like, I'm a morning shooter. I didn't shoot in the morning one time in the bubble. So it was just like, it was weird. It was hard. It was hard to kind of adjust to, like, some normalcy. Mm-hmm. But when you're winning games, and like you said, we made it to the Sweet 16, and I mean, the energy and the enthusiasm of the fans was really cool to to experience. Obviously I was upset because we went out and we didn't play the best. We didn't shoot very well, but obviously everybody wants to play in a Final Four, and I wanted to do that. So you're always thinking about something you could have done more. One day, maybe when I'm 30 or 40, when I'm retired from basketball, and I look back and say like, hey, that was pretty special. And it was in the moment, but right now it's just, you're thinking about always what's next instead of reflecting. And that's I'm just trying to stay ready and stay prepared for what's coming. And hopefully I can look back and show love or be thankful for what happened. And not that I wasn't, but just ultimately like over the top,
Well, we Jordan and I proposed this theory on last week's episode. Was like, I think that even though the Seton Hall game last March didn't I don't know. I don't even know if it doesn't anymore, but like, I don't know if it means as much as a Sweet 16 or whatever. I'm sure if you were to poll like every Creighton fan, if you just like said you want to win a regular season title or go to a Sweet 16, I'm sure Sweet 16 probably would have jumped out at them first before they had accomplished any of them.
Yeah,
but it just felt different. That whole experience felt different. It felt like a national championship game, even more so because of the fact that that the whole sport stopped after that, basically. But the celebration, like the moment, people rushing the floor, cutting down nets, the trophy being shipped around the whole arena, like the banner dropping. We proposed this theory? I don't want to like spoil it because I want to get your take on it. Like, what did you enjoy more? Crossing the Sweet 16 off for 50 years of players and fans this year, or winning that Big East title and celebrating with all the fans on the floor and watching all that type of stuff go down last March?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in the moment, in the 40-minute aspect of the game itself, I'd say the Sweet 16 was better. It was more fun. It was because you're playing for more. I think. So I would say, yeah, you're getting there. You're giving yourself a chance to advance. And that 40-minute segment was by far and above, far and above and beyond what we did versus Seton Hall. But I think everything, like you talked about, like the nets, the trophy, the night. I got to go hang out with my parents after the game. Like I didn't get to do that. Right. So I think everything that goes with it, and I think like the enjoyment and getting together with people that just like express their appreciation for what happened after the Seton Hall game, that was a blast. I like everything that came with it. But just talking about the 40 minutes of the game, the Sweet 16 was definitely probably carries more weight and holds more weight in a game that I've played. But the Seton Hall game was awesome. It was fun.
Yeah, I think as time goes on, Jordan, right? The Sweet 16 will probably mean more to people, but
yes.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Pure excitement, pure joy. I think you got to give it to the Seton Hall.
That's what my thing was, right? So I just felt for you guys because obviously not getting to be there. Like for me, like you were saying, what made it easy even just after like all last summer, just even with things being shut down, I had the peace of mind of having what was it March 7th was to us last year, the Seton Hall game. Like I had that, like, and that got me through all last summer of not being able to play like organized ball. But what do you think? Like, is there part of you that is like, man, I wish we get to do something someday to like commemorate like what would have been the Sweet 16. Like we talked about it last week, just like imagine what Omaha would have been like, you guys coming back from a flight of a Sweet, because usually it's like one weekend to the next. Like imagine you guys would have been flying back to the Epley and there would have been busloads of people from Omaha out there. You know what I mean? Like it would have been signs with all our names on it. It would have been
you guys went to the airport until like 4 a.m.
We wouldn't have been able to get out of there. We would have been signing, you know what I mean? So is there a part of you that like missed that? Did you even think about that? I know you probably had a lot going on. I had time to think about it, obviously, being away. So did that even cross your mind at all?
No, that never crossed my mind, but like you said, that definitely would have been cool. You don't even think about that stuff, but obviously, like Matt was talking about first, that for the fans, I said like pure enjoyment of everything. Like people like the fluff that goes with the game. You know what I mean? Like the game's fun, but then they like to talk about the game, and then they like to get your insight on the game. And like everybody could do that at Seton Hall because everybody could get together and do it. But I didn't think about that after Omaha. I mean, after we went to the Sweet 16. I mean, it would, like you said, like that week turnover, if we got back, like it would have been nuts. Like I didn't even think about that, but it would have been.
Did you
But that would have
like
took
that,
over.
though?
Like that would have been number one,
Now that I haven't even asked anybody this question on the team, but did you guys like that? Was it actually nice to play like back to back and just play all the games like quicker than a normal schedule would have been?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say pieces of it, definitely. I'm just gonna switch spots. But I think parts of it were, I don't know. I'm trying to formulate. Ask it again. Let me see if I can formulate something.
Just like, do you think it would have? Let me try to phrase it in a better way. Do you think it was like beneficial that you guys had played so many games like in
Back to back
day span? Yeah, in a quicker span than it normally would have been.
I kind of liked. I don't know.
Like, did it just remind you of AAU? Because like that's what I thought.
Oh, it's
That's what I
definitely
thought.
AAU.
When I was watching, I was like, "Oh, this is an AAU tournament." Like
It
they're
was
just
100
they're
it
just
was
hooping and
100%.
hooping the next day. Yeah.
Yes, it was 100%. If everything felt like an AAU tournament, like I mean, we were all lifting together with like blind or curtains up, like curtains are going to stop all the COVID. But
Yeah.
so like we're all lifting with each other, and then we'd go practice each other, and everybody's passing each other in the hotels, and like you see this coach that recruited you, you talk to him, you talk to Jay Wright, and it was just like, this is AAU. Like you never do that. Like usually you win a game, go home. Like our first game at Hinkle, when we played at Hinkle, I've never been in Hinkle's practice gym. It's connected. It's right next to it. I
didn't know that either.
So we roll up in these buses, and we usually go in the side and then go through
Down to the locker room.
down to the locker room. But this time, we roll up, and the whole parking lot's cleared out. There's cones. You can't cross the cones, because if you cross the cones, then the COVID gets in the cones. So then they keep the people out of the cones. So you come in to the practice gym, and it's this old, goals hanging from the like old goals, like not like the championship center, what we got here. It's like, so you come in, you go through a metal detector, and the curtain's up, right? So it's at the half court dividing line. And the game before us, it was Gonzaga and I don't know, what was the round of 32? Gonzaga and somebody. Oklahoma, yep. They're playing before us. So we were the higher seed. So we were getting like the Butler locker room or whatever. Mm-hmm. So after the game's over, like, how Jeremy does our table work and everything. I'm doing table work in the practice facility. There's a curtain up. Ohio's on this side shooting around. And then after we get table work, we warm up over here, right? So then they let Ohio take the floor first because our locker room wasn't ready. So we took our backpacks and stuff, set it on Hinkle's floor to the side, warmed up, took our bags, went to the locker room. So it was just like, AAU. It was AAU. Yeah, the game's, like the AAU game, the game's over, you have your backpack, you set it on the chair, you go to layup.
Slides on, put your slides on.
Yeah, that's what it is. But this time it was like there was no, you get there and 2 hours before the game, you chill and sit. You get there, we warmed up in the practice facility, and then we moved over to Hinkle, and it was like, this is weird. It was weird. And then Ohio's right here. Like I had to go to the bathroom, and I'm like jumping over there, dudes, they're stretching. And I was just like, sorry guys, like there's no space. You can't, this is the only way to the bathroom. And they got it. They let us use one bathroom that was roped off that you like go into. So it was weird, man. But the back-to-back, I don't know. I'm still stuck on the back-to-back. I don't know what's better, but we'll live with it.
No, just a weird year, man.
It was AAU. It was AAU. The bubble was AAU.
You always remember just the 2021 March Madness AAU tournament.
No, it was 100. And then you go out, you have your hour of free time outside, and it's like all the other teams are out there. There's like 6 other teams out there. So it's like, it was just weird. It was weird.
It was weird. It was weird. The sun, like when the NBA was doing it too, because you would see them posting videos of like, Donovan Mitchell would be chilling on the side of the pool, and like Bradley Beal is like walking by, and it's like, that is so bizarre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even Jalen was talking about. Jalen was talking about.
Jalen.
Agnew. Yeah.
Okay.
He was like, I was in line for COVID testing, and Megan Rapinoe is right behind me, and it's like. It was just like weird. They brought all these like elite athletes. They stuck them in a isolated environment and just let them like cohabitate basically. Like,
Yep. But the cool thing about like when we were in New York City, when we were all the Big East, like all the Big East guys,
yeah.
And like I was talking to Coach Hurley just because I was talking to Coach Hurley during games and just kind of got to know him and a little bit. And he's just a good dude, So you get to know things about people that you have these perceptions or whatever, and you like these guys are cool. You get to know them and you talk to them and you just kind of sit down and shoot the crap with them, and it's cool, because it's a different perspective from a different coach, from a guy who sees it differently, and just like the experiences are different. So it's like it's cool to get to know those guys a little bit and just talk to them and see them, and obviously they were going to the tournament, so it was cool to just talk to them and say good luck and all that. And obviously Jay Wright's a class act and everything that he does, so you pass by him and talk to him, and you're just never given those opportunities, really. So if you see them, say what's up, and kind of interact with each other. It was cool because normally we're going at each other's heads, But then, like, at the end of the weekend, now it's like flip the script. Now we're all on the same team. We'd pass Nova in the hotel, and we're all like, good luck, shouting them out. We're all like friends and buddies because we don't play them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like another Big East team. Like, shout out to Big East. You got to, like, let's go win,
Yeah.
So that aspect was really cool, I think.
What did Jay Wright say to you the night they beat you guys, like after the game?
Oh, after the game?
Yeah.
He said, I'll just keep it real. He said to me, you're one of the best players I've ever coached against that doesn't talk any shit. He said, I love that. And I was like, man, that's real. And then he said some other stuff, but that's what really stood out to me. He's like, it's mate, you just play the game the right way, and it was cool. So
yeah,
Jordan, he probably crap. I just wanted to spice it up.
Yeah,
No,
Jordan, awesome. Mitch kind of got like that senior year respect, right? Like it felt like all the coaches were kind of like taking an opportunity. I remember when you were killing Seton Hall out there, like Kevin Willard is like laughing with you while you're just dotting up his whole roster, basically.
But that was the thing. Like Coach Willard's a good dude. I talked to him at Big East Fundamentals and just kind of sat there and just I don't care if I'm playing with you, playing against you, coach against you.
Yeah,
we can have like
all
we
those
can
guys
cool.
you can learn from those guys too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, you Seton Hall head coach, like screw you.
Yeah.
That's not how I work. I just want to pick your brain. I don't like for no apparent reason. Just kind of talk and just because it's different. Like this dude's out in Jersey and I'm in the middle of Nebraska, or not the middle of Nebraska, but the middle of the United States. So it's just different. But then with Coach Willard, like we were getting pieced. We were down like 17, and he's just like talking to me, and I hit a shot. I just threw it up there and it went in. And he was talking crap. He's like, "Come on, man! Like, stop doing that." And I was like, "Come on! Like, I don't play well against you guys. You guys really like face guard and do all that." I said, "Don't give me that." So then we just kind of just have fun, and show love. It's more of a respect thing than anything, Like I respect what he does and how he coaches and conducts himself. And at the end of the day, he probably respects how I play and how I conduct myself. So it's just mutual. It's all love. And I just like doing it just because it's different, and that's just kind of, I just find beauty and fun in the game that way outside of just the game itself. You know what I mean?
I think that's great perspective. And I also just think that's something that's always been unique about you, and just your willingness to understand like how unique of an opportunity it is we get when we got to play at Creighton, where it's in the Big East and you have so many different coaches and so many different players and all that. And I had even noticed it a lot this year because I had noticed you made the conscious effort with COVID, obviously there was no handshake lines, right? After the games and stuff, but you were still making that conscious effort, go dap up other guys or at least fist bump other guys and be like, good game, all that. But do you think that added, the mask obviously added a layer of just harder to talk to people just in general. But do you think did it make it harder, like just to have those genuine conversations with other guys, like coming from their bench and just normally, I know because I was this way, you're that way. And my senior year, I tried to really soak up as many of the people I could have good conversations with. Like, did it make it hard to, like an assistant coach that might have recruited you at
Yep.
like a Georgetown, and you usually chop it up. Did it make it difficult this year?
I would say a little more, but not as much as you would think it would. Because like the coaches do all that, like they wear their masks and everything. But if you want to go talk to them, like they're pretty responsive. And we didn't have to wear a mask except for St. John's. We had to wear a mask in warmups. But outside of that, like it was cool. You could go over and say whatever, and the players would talk to you. Like you get to know players in 4 years, and you show love to them, and it's all love and respect before the game and all that. You know how that is. But and like you said, I just want to touch on that. Like the opportunity, like players and kids don't understand the opportunity you have of playing with and against people who are at a high level and who see the game at a high level. So honestly, I just want to take advantage and
true.
talk to those people.
You bring up such a good point, man. Just within the Big East, there's just so many interesting personalities that it's fun to just pick coaches' brains, other players' brains, so many players that come from different backgrounds. Like that's what I enjoyed the most about it. Like, and when I think back to my experience, it's just all the guys I was able to learn from, whether it be at Creighton or who I was competing against. And even though I didn't get on the floor that much, there was guys I played in scout for like 4 years, and they knew that, right? And they like a Miles Powell, like was conscious of that, and someone I could build a relationship with, even just having that. So yeah, man, Big East, just having that, that's awesome perspective.
And I remember my first time like playing against Coach Ewing. Like you go dap him up after the game, and his hand
swallows your hand. It swallows. I lost my hand, bro.
It's crazy. And then and then like the next year, 2 years after, whatever, we went to fundamentals, and I was like, dude, I don't care. Like this dude, I want a picture. I don't care. I'm not gonna bug the guy if he's busy. I'm like, whatever. So I go up to him and I'm like, Coach, can we get a picture? And he's like giving us crap. It was me and Ty. Ty was with me. And I was like, Coach, do you care if we take a picture? He's just cool about it, like real chill. And then he just starts giving us crap, just that hooper talk, And I was like, that's cool. That's cool that you obviously are just accoladed up, just accomplishments through the window, but you're still cool enough to shoot the crap with a 20-year-old kid from Creighton, So I respect that. I respect that he respects who he is, and just kind of the way he goes about relationships and just interactions. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really big of himself, because he wasn't awkward about it. He just gave us crap about it, and it was funny. We laughed it off. We took a pic, and that was it. Like, I'm gonna swallow my pride. I don't care. Like, it was cool. It was cool.
Was that something deliberate on your part, maybe after some of those experiences? Because it did. Just you're not active on social media, but when you are, it's usually to the younger generation, like the kids that are probably, mimicking you in the driveway somewhere, that probably won't ever be on anybody's like basketball radar for another 10 years or so. Like, was the respect that like the guys like Ewing and like people around the league like Jay Wright, Kevin Willard, like giving you respect as, like you said, a 20-year-old who hasn't done anything essentially in the game, was that deliberate on your part to do that to the next generation behind you, because of the way the generation ahead of you kind of showed that respect to you?
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I would give it a lot to. I give a huge shout out to Steph. Like I was out at camp 3 different years. The first year, like it's weird because like you go to a camp that has a big name guy on it. He like you don't expect him to act a certain way towards people that.
Or even be involved sometimes.
Yeah, or even be involved. Like this dude staying at the hotel, eating breakfast, lunch, dinner with us, like sleep, like that, not with his wife, like staying with us. Like, it was just like, it was cool for those 4 days. And then you do it for 3 years. And then the conversations you have, and then we're in the Oakland and San Francisco community, like giving back. And he has time for everybody. Like this dude is just, he's Steph Curry, he wasn't Steph Curry until like the next year. Mm-hmm. But then he won 2. I think he won back-to-back after that. Mm-hmm. And then they went out and got KD, and which was funny. Like Steph at camp, he's like, hey, the last camp I went to, he's like, hey, I got to leave early. I'm going out to New York to recruit KD. And I was like, what? So him, the owner, Steve Kerr, and I think two of the other teammates hopped on a jet, went out, and then I see KD signed 2 days later. And I'm like, well, looks like it worked. But the way Steph just kind of gave his time to people and just kind of let people kind of live through him and just kind of get to know him, that really showed me a lot, because a lot of guys aren't like that, you know? And a lot of guys are put in positions now, especially with like the social media era. It's a lot of like situations that people back in the 90s weren't put in. So it's hard to be great in that light, or like do something that is like putting on a different, like kind of putting on a mask, you know, like people put on a mask for people in public, then they're different behind closed doors. But like I was with Steph behind closed doors, and it was the same dude as he was in public. So I was like, just seeing that, it was really cool to see a guy like that just kind of give time. So then I just kind of wanted to replicate my career and like whatever I do to, like you said, the younger generations, and just kind of giving them that sense of hope and to do what I did. Because when I was in the same position they were when I was young, and then I just happened to get in the gym when I was 12 years old and just started really working on it. And then something worked out. And it doesn't have to be in basketball. Like I go to camps and I talk at middle schools or elementary schools in Omaha and Eudora. And I don't talk about basketball. You know, I give them my experience, but then I'm like, hey, like it doesn't have to be basketball. Like it could be another sport. It could be playing an instrument. It could be in different clubs, different organizations. It could be in anything, being a doctor, being a lawyer, being whatever. So I think there's a lot of angles to take, but I just try and inspire. Like, I don't care what you do, just love what you do and be great at it if you can, you know, just strive for excellence. And that's kind of what I do. And I hope kids in Omaha and Eudora and hope maybe other areas of the country just kind of see the way I conduct myself and pick up on that and see people. And I'm not saying I do it the right way, but see if people can strive to do it the right way. You know what I mean? And just, you just got to show love, you know, like the game is so much bigger than you. And and the thing that I've learned in my 4 years at Creighton, which is probably going to take me further than anything else, is the fact that the game impacts so many people beyond your immediate circle, like especially in the Omaha community. Like people live and die. Like people live and die for this stuff, you know, like they do. Especially with this COVID year, like that was the coolest thing within the Omaha community. Like it was a sense of 2 days a week, you get a release from reality, essentially.
Yeah.
And you come in and, I mean, sometimes we wouldn't play, so sorry. We'll just keep adding to that reality. But when we were playing well and giving them a sense of hope and just like excitement that they didn't have the last 6 months, I mean, it was kind of cool. And then, you know, the Omaha people, you get to know them, you get their number, they talk to you, they text you, and it's like encouraging stuff, you know, in a year that's tough for everyone. So I think that's really cool. And I think that's the special part of the platform that the game of basketball creates for people. If they do that, if they take advantage of that. So to people that are listening and to people who are younger, just be mindful of that and make an impact, you know, make an impact off the floor. And I think that's the biggest thing and most important thing.
Just to reiterate, because like, I think the picture you're painting right now is that athletes, especially nowadays with the platforms they can create for themselves, become larger than life figures, and how they act has impact, right?
For sure.
But the reason that it resonated with you with Steph was because you saw the same person when no one was looking as when everybody was looking, right?
No question.
And I think one of the things, this is a story about Mitch that it might kind of embarrass him a little bit, but the reason I know that Mitch is not just giving lip service right now is because I think it was the night you guys made the Sweet 16, actually. One of our guys at White and Blue Review, like one of the behind the scenes kind of guys, his son had a birthday or something like that. And so like, I don't know if it was the night you guys made the Sweet 16, but it was the night you guys were doing something that would have made you have anything else to do but text this little kid happy birthday. And he was like, yo, Mitch just texted my son like happy birthday and stuff. And I'm like, that's Mitch, man. Like, that's just what he does. Like, when you think he's got like better things on his mind, better things to do, he'll just randomly reach out to a kid and like make that kid's whole day. And I remember like some kids release videos of like Marcus wishing him happy birthday and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's the same deal. It's like you guys have such an impact on people with the simplest little deed. And I think that's what you're trying to say with you know, the next generation is like, you
No
know,
question.
when you
No one's too big to not give your time to somebody. You know, like that was me. Like if you want my time, then that's cool. I'll give it to you. You know what I mean? If you don't, fine. Like people don't like me, I'm sure. Like that's just the way the world works. You know what I mean? Like,
is it really?
am I gonna lose sleep over it or operate different the next day? No, I'm gonna be the same dude. So I'm always gonna give the time if people want the time. If I have the time or not, I'll find the time, you know?
And I think you've always been really good about that, man. I just think you have such good perspective on just staying level-headed throughout everything. And I think just being able to give of yourself to the extent you have just to Creighton for 4 years and what you've done there and kind of the legacy you put. You said you didn't want to say it. You know, you think you might not do things the right way, but man, I'm here to tell you you do, because just from seeing the way you operate, you said it. You are like, I'm glad you gave that Steph story, because you get it from somewhere, and it's like you have always been that dude who's been the same dude on, off the court, good day, bad day, always willing to give of himself. And you know, like you say, you try to inspire, but it inspires me too, man. Like it inspired all of us who played with you, like throughout all that. It's just true. It's just it's good to have someone like you around, always just check,
Yeah,
you
heck
know?
yeah.
And it's inspiring. So you try to be better. And one thing I think I've taken from you is just, it's always like, no matter what you do in life, you can always be a good person. No matter good day, bad
no
day,
question.
you're successful, you're a failure, you can always be a good person, and you can always do something for somebody else. So I think you've always had a good perspective on that, man.
And like another piece of that, like just someone who kind of told me early. I remember I was walking to Java J with Ronnie Harrell, and he was like, hey, we were just talking. You know how Ronnie would get. He
Slim.
just
Shout out Slim.
real like philosophical, you know.
Oh yeah.
And we're walking and talking. And he's like, man, he's like, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. He's like, you just gotta stay level headed. And that just like resonated with me. That's like, I'll always remember Ronnie for saying that, you know, and I appreciated that. So it's just like little things like that just are cool. So I don't know. That was just what popped into my head when you said you just gotta be level headed.
It's true. It's true. The wise lessons of Ronald Harrell. You know, Ronald Harrell Jr. Let me correct myself. The wise lessons stuck.
Shouts out. And Socrates, my man KJ.
Socrates, KJ, you know, we had a lot of predecessors, man, that led us to get into this point. We had a lot of good advice along the way to get us to being these, level-headed.
Are you the youngest of your siblings, Mitch?
Yep.
So, and how many siblings do you have again?
5.
And what is it? How does it go? Brother, sister, what?
4 brothers in a row going up. So 4 brothers, and then 4 boys, 2 girls at the top.
Okay. And your sister's a teacher, right?
She is now she's like a superintendent kind of thing over in Brazil. So,
okay. So how much of like did they mold that out of you? Like, were they good influences for you to, I don't know, like follow up in, or
100%
kind of close in age for that to have an impact?
No, it was when we were younger. No, I hated them. I was like, come on, guys, give me a chance, you know. And I just got bullied all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just what it is, you know? That's how it is. That's how older brothers are. And I'm grateful for it, you know, looking back. But now the older you get, like, I mean, when I was like a sophomore in high school, you start to recognize like kind of the path they paved. And you don't even recognize it through them. Like in a small community like me, you recognize it more from the teachers. Like the teachers tell you about it, you know, like, hey, I had your brother or I had your sister. And it's like, and now we have you. So you kind of hear things about your siblings that you never even knew or you weren't aware of. And I think that's kind of cool. But I also think it comes from the top. Like my mom and dad do an unbelievable job with us. My mom she's crazy. She fills her plate more than anybody that I've ever seen. And that's where I get the never saying no from, you know. I get that from my mom. Like my mom she'll try and do everything for everyone. And she probably sleeps an average of 3 hours a night, not even over exaggerating. She's just different. She's wired different. Her work ethic is ridiculous. My dad's the same way. My dad works nights, and that work ethic trickled down to us kids. And just kind of the love for people came from my mom, especially. Just kind of impact and changing people's lives in a way, in any way, or helping someone. Like, you don't have to you don't have to make some life altering event and like help someone out in that way, but just anything, like doing anything. My mom would do that for everybody, and I'm grateful for that. And just the community and the people that I looked up to and that I was around, like the Eudora community is a lot of that. Like we just look out for one another, and we have each other's backs. So just kind of trickles down if you're paying any attention at all. So I think that's cool. And being from where I'm from and the family that I came from and who did it before me, I think it was really cool just to kind of follow in their footsteps, because I mean, at the end of the day, they paved the way, and I just had to pick the ball up and run with it. So
is that why you're not like emotional right now? Is you kind of like, I don't know, some people, you know, when the end of a certain time in their life comes to an end, like they get kind of like reflective and emotional about it. Maybe I'm misreading this, but like it feels like you're just looking forward to what you get to be you somewhere else in the world. Like,
no question.
you know, if even if the NBA doesn't, like if you don't get to the NBA and you have to go overseas, like you have experience with the impact your sister's making in Brazil right now with younger lives. Like, do you feel like that's like always going to follow you? Like wherever this game takes you, this part of you is going to follow it?
Yep. And let's get this straight. My siblings do, the only reason people know about me and what I do is just because I play with a little sphere and throw it up there, you know, and sometimes I make 40 footers. Like,
sometimes,
so people want to get my perspective and get my stories. But like if my siblings were in the same spotlight, I mean, they'd have more stories and articles about them and what they do. But from an emotional standpoint, like you said, like that was one of the things I'm looking most forward to. I'm a person I'm never going to forget anyone. Like all my people at Creighton, they'll always be my people, but I'm looking forward to kind of the connections and the relationships I'll build in my next stage of life. You know, like you said, like part of me, if I end up overseas or in the NBA, like the connections and the people that you're going to meet, it's just a whole new level of experiences, and it's a whole new level of different perspectives that I haven't thought about, or it's just like a different component that you don't always think about. And it's just it's an opportunity to get to meet some really special people, and the process that goes into it is going to be really fun. You know, like I like working hard. I like just hooping at the end of the day, and I like talking and getting to know people. So I think it's going to be a cool opportunity for me moving forward. And I think it's a win-win, you know, it's a win-win either way. And that's why I'm not emotional, just because there's always an opportunity the next day, you know?
What do you think though, if you got to think back to, cause not to put you on the spot here, but I've had a lot of time to reflect because I've had a year off and I hadn't been at Creighton, I thought a lot about just, you know, some of the trips that we had and some of the like games that we were in, road trips, whatever it may be. And sometimes it's even, I think back to just some late flights we took back from Indianapolis, like that we had great conversations on the jet, right? Like, what do you think what's one part, you don't have to pin it on a specific game or anything, but what's like one aspect you think you're going to miss the most from Creighton? Because I definitely miss like a lot of talking to teachers every day and just some of the people in the Omaha community that I just don't have the ability to see as much anymore. And I know you're very involved. So
I'd say, I mean, I said it on senior night, the people definitely, I'm following in your footsteps with the people, the relationships that you built. I mean, those are irreplaceable, you know, like those are special in their own way, and and you have a different relationship with a different person. So that's cool. I'm going to miss that. But like from a basketball perspective, like you said, like win or lose on the road, the plane rides are always lit. Like, you know what I mean? Like the conversations hit different.
Man, I just remember we had so many good ones though. That's what I mean. Because it was like, I just remember after games where it was like losses or whatever, and everyone wants to be upset and all that, and everyone's like, I'm like, yo, we're not about to be sad for this last 2 hours. But if we got problems, let's talk about it.
Like, the crazy thing is so like a lot of people everybody's on the bus. Nobody says a word on the bus. The bus it's over with. Just throw the bus out the window. But then when we get on the plane, all right, let's figure this out. You know, let's talk, get it out, say it. You know, say it. I don't care. Like, say it. You got a problem with me or I'm playing? I do too. I got the same problem you got. So it's like we just say it, you know, and every year was different. Like my freshman year, I remember we went to Seton Hall Seton Hall was our opening game, and we get on the plane and we're walking through the little whatever the private, like the little in Seton Hall and Josie when you land in Newark.
It's what's it called?
Teterboro or whatever.
Teterboro.
Is that what it is?
Yep, Teterboro. That was spot on, bro. That was good.
Anyway, yeah. So we go through there, and I'm sitting, and I didn't really talk to Marcus like that, like I talked to him in practice and stuff, but like Marcus, after we lost to Seton Hall, like Marcus and I had a conversation for a long time, and it was like, dude, because I was saying things that I see, and then he was saying things with what he saw, and then it was like we connected on a level that we hadn't connected on. So it was like that's where that lifelong friendship started, like on the plane after a loss, like in the moment it's like, damn, like we should have won that game, but then like 22 years old, when you're done, you look back like, damn, that was a life-changing conversation we had. So it's like if you take it that way. And I think there's growth in that, and those, absolutely. And then you win and it's all lit, like it's all like everybody's good, winning on the road, like junior senior year, we started winning on the road. So it was like, yeah,
right. Senior year on the road, it was just like it was a party every time because we knew we were like we got the capability to go win.
Seton Hall,
we're
it was a party. Like that's what we used to say. We used to get back. We used to get back and after that bus ride, we used to look at. Yo, Mitch, you're tough, man. That was
like
tough.
We're tough. We're nice. Tough. We're not just winning at home. We're winning on the road. Like we're
winning on the road. Yeah, like with fans. I don't know if y'all remember what fans. Yeah, we was winning on the road when there was fans everywhere.
And I'll never forget this at Seton Hall. Seton Hall thought they had us when Miles Kale had the dunk.
Oh yeah.
And the dunk, there's a foul. There's time between the free throw and the crowd's going crazy.
Replaying it on the
and then they quiet, and then the replay shows and they're going crazy again. I'm like, dang. This is crazy. And then we just went crazy. Everybody started clicking, playing, hitting shots. Denzel hit a big shot. Dame was hooping. Dame was diving. Dame didn't even know how to dive.
I know.
That was
diving.
You want to know what was surreal to me that night? We got back because I remember the conversations were rock. We were like, that was talk about a we're tough night. That was, I swear we screamed you're tough that whole plane ride back. And even when we got off, I swear you must have been driving off and I screamed you're tough to you. That's how into we were. But
I didn't hear you. It was cold. It
was cold. But the one thing I remember,
I
remember from that Seton Hall night was I really felt like we were tough because I went back to my apartment and I was just clicking through Snapchat and I got the Sports Center Snapchat update and it was me in the corner like this. I was like, yo.
It was like, I'm nice.
I was like, I'm on Sports Center, y'all. So, no, you're right, man. It was just.
No, it's high level, but definitely the planes, man. Like, I'm sure if you ask me tomorrow, I might have a different answer. But the plane ride is sweet, and obviously that we travel is unbelievable. So it's comfortable. Yeah. It's cool. It's set up to where we can talk to each other. So.
Well, wait. Now I can actually
got him here though. I want to ask Jordan, like, what was baby Mitch like when summer before freshman year, like he's trying to get find his footing, like get comfortable, because
baby Mitch, I had baby Mitch rocking a fade, man.
I was a dunker.
He was a dunker.
No, hey, Jordan, get the fade story.
I'm gonna tell him about the fade. Don't worry. But no, baby Mitch did. I'm gonna give you your bounce credit first. You definitely came because you were a string bean though. You came in like you had no muscle. Like you were just a string bean, so you were.
I look like that.
Nah, you got a little to you now. But when you came in, you definitely had a little bit of bounce. But I guess freshman Mitch, man, what was it? You never got a haircut until college?
My mom just buzzed my hair.
So Mitch texted me one night because I luckily, through Justin Patton and Kyrie Thomas, they had a barber that they had gone to in high school that would pull up to the dorms. And so it was my sophomore year, and I was like, I had a year under my belt. I'm thinking I'm cool. I got this barber that pulls up. I ain't got to go nowhere. I'm like, oh, I'm getting a cut. And I think Mitch I said it in the locker room, like, hey, anybody else want to come through? Like, got a barber coming through. And Mitch was just like, yeah, shit. Like, I'll get a cut. Like, I need to get my hair. And it was his freshman year, right? So, like, he didn't even think that he was going to have to get a cut at some point because he was just training, like, and then he went all wolf, like. And so he was like, all right.
Like
He was
this.
like,
Jordan, I was like,
yeah, he
this.
was whooped. Nah, your hair was
Yeah, my hair was OD.
So he was like, yeah, I'm gonna come through. And so I kid you not, he got the cleanest fade I think I've ever seen him have to date.
It was a buzz cut.
Yo, they had him lined up. They tapered the beard on both sides. I remember we walked into practice the next day, and Murph looked at you and he was like, "Did you bring him to the hood?" And I will never forget that. I laughed so hard, man.
I never seen a fade, bro. I ain't even.
He had no idea. Mitch sat in the chair, and Jeremiah was like, "What gotta do for you, bro?" And he was just like, "Just give me a cut." And I was like,
"Just cut it."
I was like, "Yo, just give him a fade, taper the sides, like line up the beard, line up everything." And he was like, "Line up." I was like, "Yes, line up."
Jordan's you just sit there like,
clean.
It's like this dude's about to change his life. You didn't even know it.
You were clean. You were clean.
And now I got this little comb over from TC and all this stuff, man. Everybody's always like, they changed you. Yes, they changed me.
No, see, don't say that. You had a glow up though. You had a glow up. You had a top 5 Creighton glow up. You had a top 5 Creighton glow up.
I was top 5?
You have a top 5. Bro, you went from the buzz cut and the scraggly beard to like the nice little comb over with some KDs on now. Like that.
That was tough.
You came up, man.
Oh yeah.
You went from mom's cuts and blue Nikes to the hair cuttery and KDs. Man, you came up. You came up. You're tough. You're tough.
So he was a dunker, huh? Like you had to like tell him to be a shooter.
Yeah, when he would come to open gyms and all that. I just remember that was
the most fun. Junior, senior, yeah.
That was the most fun times before you had gotten to Creighton was when you would just come up for Saturdays. I remember.
Yeah.
Because we would have open gyms with recruits and everything. And I always was like, I remember because I'm a freshman and I'm trying to get to know dudes, but I'm also like, oh, these are dudes coming in. And I was just like, this dude's such a cool dude, man. Like he would always come in. He was a nice guy, said what's up to everybody when he came in. I was like, man, like this. I'm glad this dude's coming here next year, right? But I just remember it was fun, man. Like that was the beauty of Creighton, I think. Like those Saturdays when we would just spend the whole days hooping and be around each other, like that was fun. You would come in your Stephs and your Under Armour gear, and everybody would be asking, "Yo, trade this bag with me. Trade this bag."
No, the crazy thing is, I was still wearing those socks every once in a while. They get on my loop in practice junior year, and then Johnny would throw them away.
The Under Armour. That was before we had the real Nike deal. That's why. Before our real Nike deal kicked in, where we got more than like 2 pairs of shoes a season, I was wearing Under Armour socks. I swear.
Everybody had them on,
right?
Whatever you could get.
Tell me about this though. Like this is one other one that I always wanted to ask you. Like, this is just like classic you. You find a way to hide in plain sight. Like even with the signing with an agent and not like returning for your senior year. Like everybody's like, you don't understand. Like the outside world is like on pins and needles. Like they're always texting like, "Hey Matt, like who's coming back? Like, are any of these dudes coming back?" Like, you're like, "I don't know, man. Like, they're gonna announce all their decisions. Like, just wait." And like, so you didn't even announce your decision. Like, the agency just said like, "Welcome on board, Mitch," and that was like confirmation to all of us that you had signed with an agent and you weren't coming back. But rewinding a little bit here, you committed to Creighton the night of the Super Bowl.
That's so beautiful.
That's so beautiful. His own news, like that's seriously like one tweet. You're just like how you're watching like a live event and you're just kind of like scrolling through. You miss like hundreds of things. Mitch just like commits. You see like a boom tweet from Mac like that he got a guy, and then like it's just nothing but Super Bowl tweets after that. And it's like, why would you commit during the Super Bowl? Like you just like to bury the news. Like what was the thought process like? Were you just watching the game? You're like, "Hey, I'm just gonna drop this real quick and get out."
Hey, hold up. What? Yeah. No, do it. Yeah, the Super Bowl night. Honestly, I gave Mac like, I told Mac and D-Rock right when I left the hotel. I was like, "Hey, keep this under wraps. Like don't release anything. Give me like a week, you know, because I needed to contact coaches.
Yeah.
And just tell them, you know, like, thanks for recruiting me and all that. Like, I don't like people finding stuff out via
social media.
Like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Especially people who have invested so much time in me. And, I mean, I had people when I was 15 recruit me and doing all that. So I told Mac, give me a week. So I was in the car on the way home and I just like, you know, I'll just start doing it now, you know? So I'm riding home and I'm calling coaches. And I remember like one of the people I respect the most is Coach Kruger. I'm just going to go on a tangent real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that's a good one.
I texted Coach Kruger and I was like, hey, cause I loved Oklahoma. I love Coach Kruger. He got along with my parents, small town Kansas kid, you know, he's just different and he has a different approach. And Coach Kruger said, he was awesome. He was like, you're going to have a great career at Creighton. It was great to get to know you. Like just all that stuff. Send me a, you know, good book.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like guys like that had good interactions, you know? So then I went through the list, and just to shout out Coach Kruger, like I texted him after his retirement. I'm like, hey, Coach Kruger, hell of a career, you know, everything you did, all that, you know, my parents, you've been great. Cause every time when they came to Oklahoma and we went down there, like he gave the time to my parents for like 5 minutes, just a different guy, you know, like I didn't even play for him, didn't do anything for him, but he's just a good dude. And then he texted me back like an hour later. He's like, same stuff, like appreciate the text and all that. So I respect guys like that. So I wanted to kind of show love to them before they find out via social media, you know? Yeah. So then I did it on the way home. I finished it. And then the Super Bowl was on and I was with my friends. I'm watching with my friends. My friends are all like, yo, like you got to put this on. You got to do it. You got to tweet it. And I was like, don't really want to tweet it. You know, I don't really want to. And I don't want to put it on Instagram. I think I did it on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm like, man, I don't really want to. So then I did. And they're like, they talked me into it. So I put it on Twitter and just kind of thanks, you know, I'm coming to Creighton type of thing. I don't even remember what I said. Yeah. And they were like watching it, you know, like they were like watching it. And I'm just trying to watch the game. And they're like, oh my gosh, dude, you have like 100 likes. And I'm like, cool, man. Like it's cool. And it was like, oh, this thing is blowing up. And I'm like, all right, bro, like it's cool. Like let's just watch the game. So we watch the game. So then fast forward to this, and like I respect people's decisions to do what they think is right for their future, you know. I've always been a guy I don't toot my own horn, you know, like I don't like to like, let me just make my next move. Like, you know, like the people closest to me that have reached out to me know, like they already, like there were people that texted me like one of my high school teachers was like, hey, like when the news hit, like he sent me a screenshot. He's like, I'm glad that I already knew this before. And I was like, see, like the people that know me, like, and I talk to like kind of like avidly then, or like, what am I trying to say? Like often, but yeah, when I talk to people often, like it was cool, you know? So then all that news came out and I just like applaud and appreciate everybody for doing what they do. But like at the end of the day, like I don't need a bunch of, and I'm not taking shots at anybody or anything, but I don't need a bunch of interactions on social media to like excite me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just like I have a love-hate relationship.
I know it's just different. I know, but that's why I want to ask you about it, because like you are a little bit different. Like
yeah, and I haven't adjusted to the social media world. You know what I mean? Like I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like this year I was trying to be off it more, but then like I gave up some interactions that I would usually have. You know what I mean? So then when I get on, like I thumb through the tweets and try and find like kids or like moms or people that like say stuff about their kids, like, or say stuff about enjoyment of the game or something. So I try to interact with those people and interact with those kids just to kind of, cause that's just what I like to do. So it was hard to find that balance. And then like The Social Dilemma came out or whatever on Netflix, and that thing was a whole different beast. So then it was like, I mean, I just haven't came to terms with the social media thing. So it's like, I don't want to just throw it out there. I remember John texted me and he's like, hey, Mitch, saw this. Is it true? Like, and I was like, yeah, it's true. Like I signed with him and all that. And then people start texting me like, hey, congrats. And it's just like, I don't need that,
That's not what you do it for.
Yeah, that's not what I do it for. I don't do it for
Yeah.
the retweets and likes and the comments and all that. I just do it because I love it.
No, and I get you with what's confusing about this new kind of social media era we're in, especially because I even have thought about a lot of that just in kind of getting into this media space now, because with the name, image, and likeness stuff, it's just guys are really trying to highlight themselves a lot more. Whereas before it was just like, you know what, as long as you're taking care of things, and I think this is kind of your approach where it's like, as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and making my moves, somebody will praise me for that. There will be some, like, if I'm doing something worth like getting praise, like somebody else will give me that, like it'll come. And
yeah,
so
no question.
You don't need to like go out of your way to try to get that. And
yeah.
I think you've always just been like that. And I know that about you. So yeah, like I even have battled some of that just with anything I do with social media. Like, do I want to promote myself with this or not? Like, is this the light? So I definitely.
And it's the thing, like nowadays, like you're gonna have all this name, image, likeness stuff, like where you're promoting yourself, and it's just like, I mean, people are gonna.
It gets exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm cool with the social media thing. Like I'm cool with people doing their thing, but like let me do my thing. Like don't try and force me to like putting stuff out that I'm just not like cool with or whatever.
Yeah, just because you're a hooper, it doesn't mean.
Yeah, and I don't need any love. Like for me to go to sleep at night, I don't need any love telling me people like how good of a job I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I just want to slide under the radar, make an impact. Like I was actually watching something on TNT the other day with Shaq. Shaq bought somebody's ring or something.
Yeah.
And Shaq was telling like, hey, like I do that stuff all the time. Like I don't need people to, like
film it.
Obviously get it. Yeah, I don't need anybody to shout me out or say how great of a person I am. He was just real. He was just keeping it real. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like I think there's not enough, especially in today's world. Like especially, I think people look out for themselves and don't really care about the person next to them. And then while that's cool, like you have to have a balance. Like you have to take care of yourself, but at the end of the day, like you can make an impact and find that balance of like helping people. And I don't think we do that enough, especially in America and throughout the world as a whole. And I think we can do a better job of that. And if I can do my part and make an impact in somebody else's life, then that's cool. I don't need anybody to write a story about it. But if they do, it's cool. Like Matt, you do a good job. John does a good job. That's why I give you guys crap all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's our job.
And all those guys do a good job. You guys, media people, I'll give the media people all the time in the world because, like that's cool. That's who you are. And that's part of the game. And I like that. And I like the fact that we've developed a relationship that we can continue and do stuff like this and build on when I'm 40 years old. We can come back and I'll shoot the crap,
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's banking on it. So we can put you in the schedule for when your 40th birthday, you'll get on Scurry and Scrub. We'll have a reunion.
You can put me in. You can put it in for my 23rd, 4th, 5th. We can have a birthday deal every year.
We got it marked down. Honestly, like part of it is like you when you're like with John and I and Jordan, you'll like learn this as you start to get into it. Like the more you're around it, you start to like see they're not just basketball players, you know what I'm saying? Like that's if you look at the way I act on social media, it's all about like player empowerment because you come to realize they're more than just like a 3-point shooting percentage, you know what I mean? That they have more impact on they have more impact on people than just putting a ball in a hole, you know what I mean? They become larger than life. Like I mean, just you look at what Mitch did in Omaha, like Marcus, all these guys who have come through. You look at what Jalen did, going down to the bubble in Bradenton, like the impact they had on Georgia has their first black senator in history because of what their team did to bring that candidate to light. Like there's so much impact beyond just the game itself. And when you're trying to tell these stories, you learn that about people. And I think what you try to find is just something genuine. Like there are people who are good at, like, you just told the story about Shaq and buying that engagement ring, right? Like there are people who are really good, really savvy. And this is why name, image, and likeness when I help some of these people. they're really good at knowing how to act when someone's watching them to make them look like, you know, a genuine, caring individual. But when you learn about these people behind the scenes, that's how you know who they truly are. So like when you're telling stories, this is what I've always worried about with writing, kind of like features of the person separate from the player. It's like you don't want to do that. You don't want to get like ahead of your skis when you're trying to tell these stories, because if you're gonna write something that's very complimentary towards a person who has a lot of like inherent character flaws and is selfish and doesn't really care about anybody, you're gonna form a dishonest kind of picture of that person. So that's why like you can't get too ahead of yourself in telling those stories. Like when you talk to Mitch, when you talk to Jordan, talk to all these guys, like, and get to know who they are as people, then you learn what part of the story to tell. You know what I mean? What part of the story is worth telling from an honest, objective standpoint. And I think as you go out like and let the community see it, I don't think they've seen something that's disingenuous with you, Mitch. Like all that stuff. And I wonder, and you're talking about balance. So I'm wondering, like, how do you strike balance with, you know, there's going to be negatives that come with interacting on social media, right? For every one tweet you see about a kid wearing your jersey and like, you know, playing, you know, the Nerf basketball or whatever, like there's going to be like 5 more telling you to shoot more and like, you know, do this, do that, like guard better, like all that type of stuff. There's a lot of negativity surrounding your platform as opposed to positivity. So like, how should a future athlete, someone in your position, find a balance between cultivating relationships with people in the community and also, you know, kind of not getting petty with the negative stuff, like not letting the negative stuff make you jaded? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I think it comes down to like values and kind of how you carry yourself. The moment you stray away from that core of yourself, or those values, or those, well, like what you live by and what you're about, is the moment you start to feed into that stuff and listen to it. I mean, everybody wants to get someone's attention in some way, whether it's positively or negatively. People do that, you know, like that's just, people want to be heard, you know, like that's what it is. And with like the shoot more thing, like that stood out to me when you said that. Like everybody told me to shoot more. Like, okay, that's fine. I said, in my head, I wouldn't be in the position I am today maybe if I shot more. Like I am who I am because of the way that I play and how I approach the game. Like it has nothing to do with anything mental. Like it's all me. Like that's just how I play. You know, if someone told me, hey, you get into the game, if you catch the ball, like look shot, then yeah, I'm gonna shoot the ball. But like I brought more to the table at Creighton than just shooting the ball. You know, like I could make plays off the bounce, or I could do things to get other people involved. And some nights I might have it or I might not. But then like you find the hot hand, like Marcus is going or Tyshawn's getting going, like find that dude. You know, like I'll turn down a shot if he's hit too. You know what I mean? And that's just how I'm raised, and that's how I play. I don't really care about my own. But listening to people, I think the social media part, like I was off of it for a while. I was on and off, in and out, and I'd get on to see if I had any DMs from people, because some people DM me and that's how I converse with them. That's my only connection with them. I don't have their numbers or anything. So I'd get on and do that. And sometimes with you, like I have you on Twitter, like that's how we DM.
Joel?
And yeah. And it's just you just have to be at peace in your mind in every area of life before you just, because if you read something, like everybody has something to say, like everybody does, and you can't let that affect you. And that's the same way if it's positive. If they're just saying, oh my gosh, you're shooting 35 footers, like they're easy, you know, like take that with a grain of salt, because with that, like you said, with that every one, you probably got 3 people saying shoot more, you know. And that's cool. Like everybody sees the game differently, but that's just who I am, and that's what I do. But I think the moment you stray away from your values and kind of your core system of what you're about, then that's where you start to let that stuff affect you. But you just got to be solid. There's a lot of different ways to do that. I mean, a lot of people do it a lot of different ways. I've found different ways to keep perspective of what I'm doing and what I'm about. And I think that's key to what you like, how you grow in those certain situations.
Like, how did you feel about the bubble? Like, I mean, I think it all ties together. That's what Jordan and I've always said on these conversations we have on these podcasts. Like, all this stuff feels like we're isolating certain issues, but when you actually like back up a little bit, you can see how this ties to that, ties to that, ties to that. And before this tournament started, you know, you talked about the AAU aspect of it. There was a lot of a lot of complaints on. First of all, there was some on the men's side. There was a lot on the women's side. Volleyball had issues. So there were like some both shortcomings and both inconsistencies in how each sport was kind of treated by the NCAA. And I think it ties into this name, image, and likeness, because if you get a player to have more control over what they can earn through their own efforts, it diminishes some of the stuff that they have to rely on the NCAA to give them. But like, how did you feel about when the tournament first got started and there was like the not NCAA property hashtag was going around, and like a lot of players were kind of upset about just some of the things that weren't quite up to par, I guess, like, because like I said, when you're trying to find the balance there, you're like, all right, yeah, there's obviously some issues here, but there's also like an element of you're getting an opportunity that isn't given to everybody. So you have to find kind of like some middle ground there to be grateful for the opportunity while also still being proactive for what needs to be better for the people that are coming up from behind. I guess, where did you fall in all that? Like,
Yeah,
did you find balance in that, or were you on one side or the other?
I'd like to say that I see both sides of it. I'd like to say that I'm educated in both areas. With obviously the NCAA is $1 billion industry, and that's just what it is. But nothing's new. You know what I mean? Like the platform of Twitter gives everybody that, like you said, the hashtag not NCAA property. I mean, that's their own perspective and that's their own feelings towards it. And that's fair. You know, everybody's going to agree to disagree. I would even say the NCAA understands and knows that what they're doing is maybe not fully, I don't know, for the players or for the athletes. I would say that they're aware of that. I mean, they tried to propose it, but then they left it up to the conferences, but then the conference couldn't come up with an understanding of kind of what's going on, you know, or how we do this. So there's a lot of complications that come into it. That you have to kind of give the benefit to the NCAA, and at the same time you have to understand, like, it's been like this. Like, you were aware of this before jumping in the bubble. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you weren't getting paid before the bubble. You weren't getting paid outside the bubble. They weren't giving you gear inside the bubble. They're not giving you gear in. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like everybody bashes the NCAA, but like, they're giving you a platform. Like, they gave me a platform to essentially like do what I want at the next level. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like it, then like bounce. But it's been like this. And the crazy thing is, it's been like that. It's been way worse before I got to school. Like, now we're getting cost of attendance but where I'd say on the people side, like, or on the player side, you have $1 billion industry and these players aren't seeing essentially money for it.
Right.
And the part where maybe I'm a little in the blind is the fact that with that money and monthly, like, I can pay my phone, like I can pay my essential things, like I can do that. I'm in a situation where my family's like, we're good, we're well off. But there are a lot of people who aren't, and there are a lot of people, like, I remember KJ's mom couldn't come to games, and then like senior night they flew her out, you know, and that was one of the first opportunities in the last couple of years. So it's like, you look at those people, and there has to be a balance, because these people are essentially making this type of money for your organization, but then they're not seeing anything. And it doesn't have to be money. Like, it doesn't have to be monetary at all. It's just give them benefits, like fly his mom in, fly his sister in, you know, like that's what he was missing. And there are thousands of those cases all around the country.
Right.
And I'm not saying I have an answer to it because obviously no one does because there hasn't been anything done.
Well, it is like you said, it's more complex. Once you answer one question, another problem.
It's more complex. Like you said, it's just like it all falls in a row. But I think like I actually did a little paper over it. I think people that should be in, I think the NCAA should compensate them in ways that like our flights to bring them in or pay for their hotel, pay for their trip to come to a game. You know, like people are trying to pay off their phones, their cars, their mortgage. Like people have bills and sometimes you don't have the money to pay it. And so from the player's perspective, I think there's a happy medium where you can find a value that is consistent and accurate for both parties.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Like there has to be, I mean, if you just gave everybody a set amount, then maybe, but like, then it's different because the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the SEC, they all have all the football. The Big East doesn't have football, so you're not bringing in that revenue. Right. So, I mean, it's very complex, but at the end of the day, like I think you just got to look out for your athletes. I think I think they don't do a good enough job of looking out for everybody. But then at the same time, on the other side, I don't think us players are grateful enough for the opportunity and the platform that we are given to kind of make a career and reach your dreams and make that impact. So. And it's like a sense of entitlement, you know, like you're entitled to this, but are you really entitled to this? I don't know. So
well, I think like some of it is like, it's what's that old saying about like shoot for the stars and settle for the moon, right?
Yeah.
When you have a conversation with somebody, I always feel like it's way more, the temperature is way more dialed down than it is if you were to interact under those same circumstances on social media. Just because like texts, like even in text messages, I remember I'll get like super heated with someone in a text message because they're just not understanding where I'm coming from. I'm not understanding where they're coming from. And I'll stop in the middle of the conversation and just call them dead on so they can hear my voice inflection.
Yeah, seriously.
They can hear my attitude. Like, here's where I'm coming from. Stop taking it this way because you're making this more heated than it needs to be. Let's just get our points across and we love each other at the end of the day and we move on.
Yep.
And social media turns that up way too high.
Oh yeah.
And I think I think that some of it like is a little bit of overcompensation. Like, you know, when they say a hashtag not NCAA property, that's like legitimate slave talk. Okay. But you're not, the slavery was way worse. Like, that's ridiculous. Right. But if you overshoot that, you're eventually going to get the powers that be to listen to that, to come to a place where you will be in a better situation, even if it's not exactly what you're saying. Like the social media movement of it always kind of overshoots a little bit.
Well, it's like a part of that. I'm not saying this is related, but it's kind of like that. But it's like the cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
it's so easy. It's easy to say. Get rid of that.
It's so easy to just dismiss it and throw it under the rug than it is to just, hey, let's have a conversation. We might agree to disagree.
And to the point,
if you get everybody in the world to agree with you, you are a special human.
Exactly.
You do that. You know what I mean?
Like, well, it was like the Mac thing, right? It was like when the Mac when the plantation camp comment came out, everything you're flooded with, mentions, emails, texts. I'm just saying for me.
Yeah. And there's no middle ground. It's either extreme this way or extreme this way.
Right. It's all like it's not that bad or he needs to be fired right now. And it's like
100%.
I feel like there's a lot of territory to navigate here. So I'm gonna stay here and see what I can find.
Yeah.
So but then like you get like people like Ernie Chambers coming out. Ernie Chambers is a pillar in Omaha. You know what I mean? And if he's got a little bit of a reasonable take in terms of both in criticizing the error of the thought process and the comment itself, while also saying I don't believe firing makes the situation better for the future. Like it was Jordan and I and Chevy Alsansi, we talked about this right after the Villanova game. We hardly talked about Villanova. We talked about just like Creighton not firing Mac gives Mac an opportunity to not only grow individually from that mistake, but also to bring people that don't necessarily see it as a mistake with him to bridge that gap in this racial divide that Omaha has right now. You know what I mean? So like, but if like what you said with the cancel culture, how easy it is to just send a tweet out. And I don't even like using the term cancel culture because I feel like people weaponize that.
Yeah, neither am I.
But like,
you know,
yeah, I know what you mean. But like, it's so easy to send a tweet out like fire his ass, like, or it's not a big deal. And I feel like that's just people. Both parts of that are missing the big picture. So like,
Well, I mean,
think
to put it
when
simply,
you have a conversation about it, can't you come to a better understanding of what the situation really is? It's
that's
not
what I was.
about Greg McDermott in a locker room saying one thing. It's about there are inherent biases with people that will say something like that off the cuff where it's not a big deal, and then how do you move on from that? Because there is a future now. You have to navigate a world where that thing is now part of it, and you have to address it, you have to fix it, and you have to build from it, right? So I think if like, just to go back to your cancel part of it, if Mac is just straight cold up, hard fired out of there, what are we building off of right now? All we're doing is punishing one person for one mistake, right? Justified or not, no one grows from that, do they?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
how old is Mac right now? In his mid-50s, right? If he loses his job and never coaches again, is he going to impact more lives on his own account, on his own accord after the fact? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think if you keep him in that position and he understands the gravity of that situation itself, he has a chance to impact more lives than ever before. Now,
that's a cool look at it.
Now, if he makes the same mistake again, yeah, okay, maybe we got a pattern of behavior now, and now maybe rehabilitation is not in the cards. But you don't find that out until you start on that path, and I think that's what you're talking about right now with social media. Like it has such a it's just like, I don't know if it was intended to be this way. I'm pretty sure it was just like so we could all interact with each other without having to be in presence. But
and there's a lot of good with social media. There's a lot of good.
That's what I'm saying. Like but it also can be weaponized in a bad way. And I think that's.
But again,
finding that balance.
It's just important. But I think the point is though, it's just not the place. It's not a forum to talk about. Place, like where Max comments. It's a place to go when you're watching Creighton games. Like it's not a place to go when you need to have a conversation that ends in growth, right? Like when you're talking about Mac, like anything going forward has to be like gauged towards growth. Like I think of even the analogy like I'm thinking of now is what Mitch was talking about earlier. Like when we would lose games, right? Like we were gonna still talk on the plane ride back, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're gonna like it was worse for us if we got on the plane and said nothing. It'd be worse for Creighton if they fired Mac and said nothing. You know, like it'd just be worse because then he can't even right his wrong. He can't even do anything. Right. So yeah, it is not the place.
Larger point, a conversation when you're just like, it doesn't have to be face to face, but when you're like voice to voice, if you're on the phone and there's not like just an invisible middle ground there that you can't get across to each other. There's just something about text that it doesn't come across the way it needs to be conveyed, and you just got to have a voice to voice, eye to eye. Like that's what social media introduces it all, but people take social media a little bit too far because, like I said, the temperature, you radicalize people. Like, and some people need to be radicalized for good, but we've also seen now the bad side of that. January 6th, people were radicalized in a very bad way, right? All because of just, and then you see the aftermath of it. They're all like sitting in their, in their airports or in their courtrooms or wherever they're at. They're like, I just didn't think I was doing anything that bad. That's what social media does to you. It takes over your mood, and you don't realize you're losing control of like your general, like where you should be in general. And I think that's like, so that's why finding a balance on social media, especially when you're trying to be like an activist for NCAA reform and players' rights, because Mitch brought up a good point about we have more benefits than past players do. Like even going back 5 years, 10 years, you talk to a player from 20 years ago, they're like, what are you all complaining about, man? I used to like have a $5 per diem for food. Like our nutrition table was like an Arby's roast beef sandwich. Like, you know what I mean? Like all those kinds of stories. So they're not wrong, but they also, what they miss about that is like, that was also wrong. The NCAA has grown monetarily into like I said, $1 billion business, to where they're the people that are in charge of making these rules for the athletes are like making millions of dollars salaries. Why? And it's like Mitch said, there are thousands of people, thousands of student athletes right now who are sacrificing their body, playing through injury, playing through illness, with a situation at home that, an endorsement deal with a name that just benefits off of your name, image, and likeness, who you are, what you do. where you could send a mortgage payment off to mom and your 3 siblings or whatever, and they're good. Like you it's not much, but you're changing lives right there, and you're bringing people up. And that's what the conversation's about. It's like sometimes it's like, yeah, F the NCAA, F that, and like the temperature's up too high. But when you actually have the conversation, there are issues, and the generational gap needs to understand that, like, yeah, they have it better than you did, but you had it terrible. And the reason that people are still in a bad situation now is because, I don't know, there just wasn't a movement about it now. Social media gives you the power to bring things to light that it was just harder to do back then. Like back then, if you complained, all that heard you was your teammates and your coaches, and they would just like, all right, yeah, get it out of your system and then shut up, basically. Now it's different. Like now you have power.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that was my tangent there.
Sick TED talk, bro.
I'm glad we got a sick TED talk. I'm glad we got to talk about it though. I wanted to know. Well, because I always thought you were a guy like you're not going to benefit it from it, but
I'm not gonna what?
You won't benefit it from it, but I always felt like you were a person who could have, if you were from a situation that needed extra money, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That'd be cool.
So I feel like it is going to be good for athletes just to have.
It's gonna be good for people, but then it's also gonna be bad for people that people don't understand. Because if it's gonna be different limits, like the quarterback's gonna be making more than the lineman, you know. So it's gonna be an interesting locker room dynamic.
Well, the other thing that I was thinking about it today was like there are going to be some people who are motivated to be in the gym every day because they're hungry like literally, right? When name, image, and likeness comes into the play, like I don't know, I wonder how hungry some people will truly be. Like if you'll lose some of that edge. I mean, people just lose their edge when they get money. That's just the way people are. I think it's natural. Like I look at like Conor McGregor's like getting knocked out by like people he used to starch all the time. He's sleeping in like silk sheets now, though. It's a little different life than when you're on the come up and you're like actually like every paycheck is like about is like, you know, sort of providing for your family. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting in a lot of ways, but I do think it needs to happen because there's good in it that hasn't happened yet for athletes that you guys just go through too much, like mentally, physically, and there isn't a balance yet. So we'll cross that bridge when you guys are like all a bunch of entitled brats. We'll cross that bridge later. Right now, you're not there yet. I don't think you guys are entitled brats, either of you. Are you? Do you think you're?
No, I don't think.
But like, give me 10 years to start.
Shitting
on the NCAA kids. Like, I'll definitely come around. I can see myself being like, you kids don't know how good you have it. I used to eat Uncrustables in the championship center, acting like I didn't love every single one. But like, I'll be like, oh, I had to eat Uncrustables. You wouldn't believe. Not going to include the steak dinners I had either. Not going to drop that in there. But you know how the stories change the years that you go out.
What was the one thing you missed about this year, Jordan? Like, what was Mitch probably didn't get it his senior year, but like your favorite restaurants and whatnot before games, after games, like going on the road. What was your favorite place to go on the road?
I mean, I always loved the Capitol Grill when we would go at Butler. That was always a hit.
Think of another one. Think of a road trip. I know crazy appetizers.
I mean,
that one last year.
Are conference or non-conference?
Non-conference. Beginning of the year.
Oh, you talk about at Michigan?
Michigan was crazy.
Yeah. No, Michigan. That's in a league of its own though, because Michigan, I felt like royalty at Michigan. Like we got to the table and there was food already on the table.
It was crazy.
Matt, I don't think you understand how nice it is after 2-hour bus rides when you go from this actually let me give you the full rundown. When you actually go from practice to bus to plane to bus again to restaurant, you didn't eat the whole time, and the appetizers are there for you on the table. Different.
That hits different.
And they had the strawberry lemonade on the table ready.
Hey, shout out Johnny though.
Shout out Johnny.
Yeah,
shout out Johnny.
Up, right?
He was always the one. He was always the one.
That dude holds it down.
I remember like the only time I ever got to like kind of like live that life was you guys remember Joe Pop, right?
Yeah,
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so Joe
How can you
Pop
forget?
Joe Pop comes from money. So like his graduation party or whatever, he like invited me and John. So we like went to his graduation party. I think it was at the Paxton, like 801 Chop House or whatever. It was like they got people walking around with like all kinds of like and it's like, oh my God, what is this life? Right?
Oh no, we lived it because that was like all the lunches that we would go to and stuff. Like they would have all the hors d'oeuvres and things like that.
Yeah. Good life, man.
Had to
Right?
teach us which spoons and
Which
forks.
spoon do
Hey, I'm grateful for it. I didn't know it. I didn't even know what a la mode meant until I went to
I know.
Creighton. So
Oh.
now I know.
Bro, I didn't know what calamari was, no a la mode, no,
Mhm.
I didn't even know medium.
A la carte. You
that.
had no
They-
idea. Now I know
They
it
were
all.
walking around with all these like snack food type things or whatever, like little finger food type situation for like a first hour. And then we
Hors
all
d'oeuvres.
find out. And
See,
then like
you're not. Let me teach you the word hors d'oeuvres. That's the word.
hors d'oeuvres, sorry.
There you go. There you go. See, I'm educated on this. I know this, bro.
So they were walking around with all these hors d'oeuvres. There's like a whole display of like this type of stuff, right? And then you sit down when all the people that you think are going to show up. It's like, all right, let's sit on the table and get our menus. Like, wait, what? Like normal graduation parties are like you just throw the food out there and you let the hounds have at it, right?
Yep.
No, we're actually like sitting down now, like at tables ordering from a restaurant after eating all that. I'm like, all right. So like they give us our menus and whatnot, and they're like, okay, what do you want for your appetizer? And I'm like, whatever. What do you want for your entree? Okay, that. And it's like, and dessert. I'm like, damn, look, this is a little graduation party. Like, what is this bill? Like, who's running this tab up? I'm like, we got a 3-course meal plus snacks for a graduation party. I'm like, that's not how my parents did it. We had like a ham and
tent in the backyard,
cheesy potatoes. Yeah, in the backyard. Yeah, right. Yeah, I had it like in a church gym. So we were all hooping.
Big time in its own way.
I felt like
time
it
in its own way.
was. I felt like it was. We were all hooping.
It's all about perspective, man.
Yeah,
It's all about perspective.
yeah. That's the only time I've come up in life is at Joe Pop's graduation party.
Well, you got to come up today. You got to come up today. We have Mitch on the podcast. That's a come up.
Right.
That's true.
That's always a come up.
We're talking about a come up, glow up, whatever. I really
You got it. Yeah, you win. I'll give you that.
Well, this will be the first. This will be the first of many as a pro basketball player, though, because we'll be rooting for you wherever you.
I'm not a pro.
I mean, you're technically pro now, so
Yeah.
I'm not a pro.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna let you.
What are you gonna be then? What are you gonna be, a doctor or not a pro?
You're gonna go pro in something. You're
gonna be a pro in something, but I'm just saying I'm not a pro. Not a pro yet.
Yeah. That's the
How
part.
humble this dude. He's not even gonna call himself a pro.
Yeah. I won't call you a pro yet. You just a college bum. Like now I can say it. Like I can say what people say to me.
Facts, Jordan. People didn't say that's you.
You're just a college bum now, bro. Like you're not playing no more. Come on, graduate. Make sure you graduate. That's what everybody used to tell me. When we shut down last year, and I came home, quick story. All the amount of times I swear that the coaches were like, just make sure you graduate, man. Just make sure. I'm like, did I not give any of you the confidence that I was gonna I got like 2 classes. It's online from home. And I swear all of them checked on me every day.
Well, because they've seen it before. They've seen them not.
Yeah, that's true. But I just didn't think I was that guy.
They're trying to look out for you.
Hey, maybe you're not that guy either, but I'm still getting on your ass the way they got on me.
Yeah.
So make sure you graduate.
I will. I'll graduate.
Yeah, it was good. It was good catching up with you, Mitch. Appreciate your time. I think we got like
Always. I appreciate you guys.
we probably went way over your
on.
time slot. Hopefully, we didn't take up too much of your life.
No, it's all good. I got nothing. I got a Chipotle burrito waiting for me, so I'm about to kill that.
Oh, that's what I want to go get. I think you just inspired me. Shout out Chipotle if y'all want to sponsor Scurry in the Scrub. If Chipotle,
Shout out to Chipotle.
That was
Jordan.
Jordan. That was
Hey,
Jordan.
or Lou would say Chipotle.
Chipotle. You guys want to go Chipotle?
What?
That was Jordan's idea to we're just gonna shout out a different sponsor every episode, even though we don't actually have sponsors yet.
And when they send us the cease and desist letter, I'm just gonna be like, wait, or you could sponsor us. You could sue us, or you could just sponsor us.
Right.
Like, pick one.
Facilitate the conversation that way.
Hey, just find that middle ground,
Yeah, I might go over to Jersey Mike's and talk to them.
Jersey Mike's goes crazy.
Like
yep. See, we already got like 2 shout outs on this pod.
That's
Please
right.
sponsor us.
Yeah, Shirty Mike, Chipotle. Let's go. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you guys listening. Mitch, best of luck going pro and something.
Something. We'll stay in touch, man. We'll have you
I
on.
appreciate you guys.
When you're a real pro, you'll come back on.
Yeah.
No. Every July 2nd, every birthday.
Sounds good to me, man.
Deal.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. See you.